All right, hey guys, welcome to part 5 of breaking down Allan Parr's strawman defense of Charlie Kirk. Now, before we continue, please like and share this video and subscribe to BP, the Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought or comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome. Um, Again, we're going to break down. I want to show, and I'm going to continue to show the contradictions in Allan Parr's. I call it a straw man's defense. In other words, you build up a straw man right here. And then I'm going to show you I've been showing you the contradictions in Allan Parr. He is a YouTuber, a very successful one. He is a Christian. And like so many Christians today, that all of a sudden now they are lionizing, they are glorifying Charlie Kirk. That he is some kind of symbolism here, that he embodies something. And he's not. But why so many Christians? And then with Allan Parr, why is it that they kind of feel this urge that they have to defend Charlie Kirk? Now, Charlie Kirk, here's my thing, whatever, right? Okay, he's no longer with us. He and I'm gonna tell you, I think that was awful because I don't wish that on anyone. I would much rather have him here to debate, to break down his arguments. But again, we're not getting into that. His unfortunate, demise. But the fact that what he stood for, what he pushed, and this is what I am dealing with is now people like Allan Parr who now feels this unction that that Charlie Kirk must be presented in the correct way. That what people are saying about him, that is not true. And so the first question is why? Why does Allan Parr feel the need to defend Charlie Kirk? And secondly, what is he defending? There are a number of people he could defend. Now, everyone has a right to do what they want, but you're defending a man who went out of his way in anti-black rhetoric, and that's what you're defending. You're saying, "Oh, he's not a racist." You're vouching for, and then guess what? Then what Allan Parr is doing is sanitizing the very words. In other words, you hear the words, but now you have to go back and sanitize them. You hear the racist words, but now let's sanitize them. And so there are several straw man arguments that he is presenting. We talked about how first he said that people are lying on Charlie Kirk when he said that, or that they say he said that all black women are, brainless, do not have the brain capacity to, be qualified. I am paraphrasing this, okay? Now, while you could tear that apart, straw man, tear it apart, and say he didn't say that, but you're not talking about that he did, with the same verbiage, attack 4 highly educated and qualified black women. And as I've been using my sort of comedic comparison with like Ike Turner, who was the famed singer Tina Turner's husband, when he was in a disastrous interview and they asked him about the abuse. And his defense was, Well, the movie that came out about with that Tina put out, he said it didn't portray him correctly. And this is what he said. He said, "I didn't hit Tina 5 times, or I didn't punch her 5 times. I punched her 2 times." Okay, and that's the bet that Allan Parr is doing here. Oh, he didn't. Oh, well, he didn't say that all black women, as some are saying, that all black women do not have the brain capacity. Actually, that would have been probably a better statement, but he targeted 4 black women that did have the brain capacity. And that he don't. So let's skip over that. That's the defense that Allan Parr is doing. So let's get back to the video. I'm going to pick it up. What I want to do is I do want to go back, and I've been showing the comparison of what Allan started off saying. And then let's pick it up in the video itself. So here we go. Here we go.
I am a black man, unapologetic and proud. And I proudly stand on the backs of those, my ancestors who have risked their lives for me to be a black man that has the right to vote, a black man that has the right to own a home, to purchase land, to drink from the same water fountains, to sit in front of the bus, and to have my children attend schools with kids who don't look like them. I have been a victim of racism. I've been a victim of prejudice and a countless number of microaggressions due simply to the color of my skin. So I am deeply grateful for those who fought for my right as a black citizen of the United States of America. But there is something.
But Charlie Kirk doesn't. You may be proud, which I think is contradictory because you're defending the man that basically disagreed with you, who said the person that you saw, that you say you're standing on the shoulders, he said he was awful. The very result, the fruit of his labor, which was the passing of the Civil Rights Bill, he said, the man you're defending, said that that was a huge mistake. Again, I'll ask the question, what are you defending? What is your purpose? Let's get to the video. We're going to keep on going here, because this is why I'm doing this in part, because I'm taking, again, point by point. I'm addressing it point by point, his point. So here we go. Let's continue.
And all you see is white pilots. You might think, well, I don't think I could be a white pilot because I've never.
Let me go back just a little bit so you can understand where he's coming from. We just saw the clip. That's the clip of Charlie talking about and defending his statement against black pilots. Allan Parr now is defending him, kind of co-signing to that. And I'm going to skip ahead. I just want to see. Right, here we go.
All right, so now notice several things that he said. All right, first, he said either here or in other clips that there is documented proof that when affirmative action is applied, standards are lowered to allow people to get in.
Again, I dealt with that again, but it's just worth going over. That's the stupidest statement you can say. Because again, you're vague, first of all. If you're talking about blue-collar work, for example, if you're talking about admissions into college, that is applicable in some cases. They do let unqualified people in. So for example, schools might let people with lower IQs, lower grade point average in order to meet quotas. All right. But that's certainly different than saying that airline pilots whose lives, hundreds of people, thousands, and even millions of people depend upon to be qualified, that they're doing that. And that's where the bait and switch is coming in at. And of course, Charlie didn't talk about the low IQ and low grade point average admissions in schools and government jobs like that. He said pilot. And in another clip, I don't know if he's going to play this, but in another clip, he talked about surgeons. And basically what he said was if he sees a black surgeon, if he sees a black pilot, he just saw skin color. Now, the very thing that he's trying to defend is the very thing that Charlie went out of his way to double down on. Why would that be the automatic thing? In other words, it's like saying if I see a black person or if I see a white person, I'm just going to automatically assume he's a mass shooter. Why? Because I can go by stats. And again, he just said the numbers is true. Cite the stat right there. Cite where that's true. Okay. And again, anyway, let's continue.
It's true. All right. Second, the context of his statement was in response to United Airlines going on record and saying that 50% of all new pilots that we hire must be a person of color or a woman. Now, to be fair.
Now, again, let's say that's true. It's one thing to say that that's true, but now you're accusing American Airlines of putting people in danger, to putting the safety of their passengers in danger just so they can get a colored in. That's insane. And again, so even if that's true that they want 50%, are you actually saying that they would actually, to reach that quota, not have qualified pilots to fly the plane? That's the insane thing right here. What black pilot isn't qualified? So when Charlie, with his racist eyeglasses, says, oh, black person, he's not qualified. Why? He's black. And obviously he just got put in there because what? He's black. Now, just so we're clear, they've been saying this for decades. They've been saying this for decades. And I'll say again, how many white pilots versus black pilots or DEI pilots have crashed planes? See, that would be the proof. Well, look how many black, they got the DEIs in there, and then therefore they crashed the planes, proving that DEI is a failure. So you see the same rhetoric that Trump, what was the thing right here that he blamed DEI over? Catastrophes and things like that. That's the racist rhetoric of the Trump administration. Charlie just then, he regurgitated the same stuff, which is why, by the way, he was popular.
I think where Charlie Kirk misses this and where a lot of people who are not minority miss this is there is something to be said about representation, right? So let me make sure I say this very, very carefully. So if you are white and you see white pilots, you just take it for granted that you can be a white pilot, right? But when you are an African American, or let's say a young kid, and all you see is white pilots, you might think, well, I don't think I could be a white pilot because I've never seen a black pilot. So there's some.
Who thinks that, first of all? But let's just say again, the whole foundation of this argument is built on just pure nonsense. Black people may say, I can't be a pilot because white people are not going to hire me. Now, let me clarify so that I can correct myself. Yes, whenever you see representation, yes, that inspires. It's encouraging and it's inspiring. But make no mistake about it, that where these dreams are dashed is when you put an application in or when you try to endeavor and you're denied. See, that's the part that they're not talking about. That right now there was a reason why American Airlines says we want more diversity, because they didn't have any. So now let's ask the question, why didn't they have it? Why didn't they have diversity? Now, if the old school racists will say that, as Charlie said about highly educated people, they don't have the brain power. See, that's out of the old racist playbook. Blacks are inferior. But of course, that's even itself, it's not one of the reasons why they don't hire the blacks. They didn't hire blacks is because they're just plain racist and they didn't want blacks in their space.
Beautiful. There's something to be said when we do have diversity, and we do see minorities, because representation is very, very important. So now when a young black boy sees a black pilot, he might think, oh, you know what? I can be a pilot because I see another person who has same skin color as me. I'm not saying that every black.
Well, according to Charlie, then does the black person say, I don't have to be qualified, I'm just black? Or will the black people that see American Airlines, that maybe they do an ad campaign that says, hey, we want black people, no qualifications needed. And then the black person says, oh man, I can make that long money. I ain't got to be qualified. Is that the process, the mental process that people go through? See, and remember, you're saying that there's representation. Charlie says, hey, when he sees a black person, he doesn't see representation. He sees inferiority. Oh my God, there's a black person right there. He must be unqualified. That's what Charlie said he sees. You're saying there's a positive right there, but you're contradicting. Cognitive dissonance. There's a difference here.
Person needs that in order to be successful. I'm saying some do. Okay. Now, what else does he say? Well, third, he said that he firmly believes that black people can be competent enough to be great pilots. He never
can be. There are plenty of black pilots out there right now that are competent. In fact, every black person that would be in that spot would be competent. And the fact that he says that because they're DEI, they're not. That's his racist view. Was his racist view.
Well, white people are better pilots than black people. No, he said black people can definitely be competent. He could go watch the clip. Competent enough to be great pilots. And finally, when the guy tried to trap him at the end, because it was a trap question, and ask him his opinion of legacies, he remained consistent. Now, if you're not familiar with a legacy is, basically what a legacy is let's just say your father went to Harvard. And so because they are a Harvard alum, you now, because you are their daughter or their son, you can get in easier to Harvard because your father was a Harvard alum. And so you would think that Charlie would be like, oh, legacies are good. But no, he actually it stays consistent. And he says, hey, no. Even if it's a legacy situation, right? If that person, that son or daughter of the parent who went there, if they are not as qualified, then they are also taking away a spot from someone who's more qualified, and they shouldn't get in just because their mom or their dad went in. So he remains.
But you're not saying all that he said, because remember, he also said that studies show that legacy people, right, are because most of legacy people come from smarter parents, so therefore that makes them smarter and makes them more qualified. That on an average, right, they're going to be, even legacy, remember he also said that legacy people may have a tendency to be better than affirmative action. Don't forget that.
Consistent on that. Now, finally, as I did in the race example,
not every 24-hour smile is created equal, and that's the part they're leaving out. Gaps that trap food, receding gums.
Let's flip it back on you. All right. You're a parent. Your daughter worked hard her entire life to be able to qualify for, let's just say, the upcoming Olympic Games. She runs track and field.
Now, this is going to be, I'm going to deal with it, but this is going to be, I shouldn't have cut him off. Let go.
The 4x100. And let's just say her times that she ran prove that she should be on the 4x100 relay team. She's got the fastest time. But let's just say that the Olympic Committee came up with a rule and they said, hey, you know what? from this day forward, we must guarantee that 2 out of every 4 women who are on a 4x100 relay team must be white women. Now, here your daughter, she's worked very, very hard. Her times are clearly better than the 2 white women who got selected to be on the 4x100 relay team to represent their country in the Olympics. Your daughter has faster times, but they get to go in and run and represent their country because they're white and because there has been a program put in place that guarantees that 2 out of every 4 are white women. Now, answer me this. As a parent, how would you feel about that particular system being in place? Now, I know what some of you are going to say. Well, that was the system that was in place all many years. And that's what kept black people down, and all, which is the whole reason why affirmative action came into existence. Yes, I get that.
Well, if you get it, then what's your point? Other than to try to justify Mr. Charlie. Well, what's your point in that? Really, seriously, you just contradicted yourself. That's exactly right. And secondly, they've done it. And okay, so wait a minute. You saying that the reverse racism thing right here. All right, for example, okay, you got Caitlin Clark, right? Isn't she your shining star, Allan? Here's a white woman who is one of the shining stars of basketball. Hey, you do have them. Who's holding her back? I mean, this is, again, all right.
What I think what Charlie Kirk is saying and what many people are saying today is, okay, yeah, we recognize the past. The past was wrong, but
who recognized it? Stop lying, Allan. Who recognized it? Charlie is not recognizing. He's trying to destroy it.
now let's set up a system where people can get opportunities not based on skin color at all, white, black, Asian, doesn't matter, but simply based on an equal standard of merit. And finally, if you're
First of all, who's stopping them from doing that? No one is stopping white people from hiring on merit. Even though you have affirmative action, no one is stopping. No one says that you have to have the minimum quotas. You could say, hey, for example, if you have 10 applicants and you have 10 black applicants and 10 white applicants, and all 10 black applicants are more qualified and only 3 white applicants are qualified, who's to stop them from hiring all 10? No one is saying that you can't do that. No one is saying that white people can't be fair. I can tell you right now that I'm where I am today is because a white man basically said, hey, I want this diversity. No one is stopping that. Charlie Kirk is saying that the program itself is dangerous because it discriminates against white people. And what this disgraceful, what you just did was so disgraceful because you want to say, okay, so the problem now is hiring too many black people. The problem now is not hiring enough white people. All right, so go in any employment. Tell me where black people have overran white people in employment. Show me where that's happening. Show me where white people, all of a sudden now you go and there's just not enough jobs for white people because black people and women are taking all the jobs.
watching the Olympic Games and you already knew that the Olympics committee put this rule in place, would you not at least wonder if these white women had fast enough times to qualify? Like he wondered, boy, I hope this black pilot is qualified. Would you not be thinking, boy, I hope these white women actually got in because of their times? Would you not?
Well, first of all, because they actually do compete. See, that the fallacy here is that, hey, they actually get out and run, and they have to either qualify or not qualify. See, so again, straw man argument here. You have to come up with a fictitious scenario, right? No one is stopping white people, white women from playing basketball. No one is stopping that. They can compete. See, the problem again, what you're disgracefully doing is you're trying to dismiss the struggle that Black people have went through and still go through by saying it's unfair to white people. That's what you're saying, that it's unfair to white people.
Wonder if they had fast enough time to qualify, or if they got on the team because the Olympic Committee made a rule that 2 out of every 4 women on the relay team had to be white. Now, be honest.
Let's be honest. Where did that happen? Where has that happened? Where has it happened that you have, again, let's go back. Where has it happened that you have any team that said, we need to have, I don't care, we got to have inferior white people on the team so that we can lose games? But where did that happen? And at the same token, where has a white person that is qualified have not been put on the team?
About that. Would you not be mad at the system that kept your daughter out of the Olympics that she trained and worked so hard for her entire life? And if you were mad at the system and spoke out against it, should you be considered a racist? All right, let's now move on to...
Well, let's talk about the racist then that Charlie Kirk is. Again, where has that happened? You admitted that Blacks were discriminated against. You admitted that Blacks sometimes didn't even get a chance. They didn't get interviews. And yeah, even in your dumb sports analogy, now, do you know why a lot of white people for decades wouldn't even allow Blacks to compete? But because you go back to the old racist playbook. They thought Blacks were inferior in every area. They thought Blacks were inferior. They taught this. There's medical belief, science, that they taught this, that Blacks were inferior, that Blacks did not have the brain capacity. They taught that Blacks were physically inferior to the white man. So in every area of humanity, there were the racist institutions that taught that Black people were inferior in every aspect of humanity. And of course, what happened over time, that everywhere Black people were allowed to compete or got a chance, they not only outdid, they outshined, but far outdid their white competitors. So when you're trying to do the reverse racism, okay, let the white people compete. See, the difference is that Black people were not even allowed to compete. Who's stopping white people from competing right now? Now you're going to say that, okay, if you're going to say reverse racism, now you got to say, all right, so basically what you're going to force us to do is to lose games. Because the white people are inferior when it comes to sports. But not all. As I said, no one's holding Caitlin Clark back. That's stupid. No one's holding her back. She is shining. But now back to Charlie's comparison. Charlie's comparison was that Blacks are inferior simply because they're automatically, because of DEI, they're automatically unfit or inferior to white. And that's when he sees the Black, he doesn't say, boy, he got in there because he qualified. No, he's unqualified simply because he's Black and simply because of DEI. And shame on you, Allan, for, again, distorting this truth.
Final issue, the issue of gun control. All right. So some of you are making him out to look as if he was pro-gun violence because of what he said.
Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop and I'm going to come back and I'll deal with this head on. I'm going to deal with the whole point of gun control. head on. And again, I'll just deal with this head on. But again, on Allan Parr, it is disappointing when you in order to, you can't be truthful in order to get views, and to get views from a white audience. See, that's my charge. The reason why you're saying this stuff is, anyway. All right, guys, don't forget to like and share this video and subscribe to BP The Bible Perspective. And as always, if you have a thought, a comment, add it to the comment section below. All comments are welcome. And I'll see you in part 6.